Hey guys, welcome back. Okay, so we have to talk. This is a pretty big story. Not so much for us. So this particular story, as it stands, at least at the moment, is not going to affect you and I, the citizens of this country, as much as it will the ANC. So maybe it could actually be good news for us, but it might also signal some bad news for us. But we'll talk about that in a second. So over the last week, Chris Hattingh from the Center of Risk or for Risk Analysis went to the US, had meetings with members of the United States government. He met specifically with a lot of people in Washington, D.C., people that's part of the White House. And he wasn't there to push any sort of idea or any sort of program. He was just asking questions, right? What's the relationship like with South Africa? What are the thoughts? What's the mindset? And effectively, what it boils down to is Washington, D.C. is fed up with South Africa. Washington, D.C. effectively makes the following claim. They have given the South African government a very clear set of guidelines, without which they will not approach South Africa as a fair and equal trading partner. The South African government has taken these guidelines and first pretended like they never even got these guidelines. And the Washington, D.C. has taken note of that, by the way, guaranteed. But more importantly, have since thrown those guidelines right back into the faces of the United States, saying we will not do it. Right? We're committed to transformation, although the transformation of the economy doesn't show anywhere. No one knows where that transformation is supposed to come from. Not only that, but with the threat of sanctions now being on the government, on the ANC members themselves, they have effectively told the United States, well, do what you want. Do what you must. We don't care, right? We don't care. We will continue to do what we do, and we don't care. It doesn't matter what you say, right? Um, this has frustrated the United States greatly. Not only that, but one of the things that the United States is actually most insulted by is after the ambassador of South Africa is fired and chased out of the country, right? The United States basically classified him as persona non grata, sent him on his way. After he's pushed out, Razul, the ANC has not given or sent a new ambassador to America, despite Washington asking for a new ambassador, because ambassadors are actually super important to getting conversations going and fixing relationships. The fact that the South African government has not done that basically has told the United States that clearly you guys don't care, right? Clearly you guys don't want a relationship with us. Now, this has basically meant that, and before people think, and this is actually one of the big things that comes out of this piece by Chris Hattingh, it's not just the Republicans in Washington, D.C. that's upset and angry with South Africa. It's the Republicans and it's the Democrats. So there's currently bills in office, right, on the floor of Congress, waiting to be voted on. And these bills have massive support from both Republicans and Democrats alike. And this is all because of how the ANC has been acting. You see, when Trump did all of this and when Trump actually threw down the gauntlet, South Africa did not act as a country that requires the United States. South Africa acted arrogantly, told America to go kick rocks, basically made even better friends with Iran, made even better friends with Russia and China. And all of this, the Democrats in office are looking at and going, oh, dude, we'd love to defend you guys, right? We'd love to be the ones to stand up for black economic empowerment and for the apartheid liberation movement, but you're not making this easy for us. So you have, for example, the US South Africa Bilateral Relations Review Act of 2025. This has great support amongst Republicans and Democrats alike. Should this pass, it will effectively tell President Trump that America is ready for sanctions against South Africa and specifically against South African leaders. Now, it will be up to Trump whether he wants to sanction the whole of South Africa or just the ANC leaders. But Trump doesn't have to wait for that. See, this is the misconception. A lot of people sort of, and I hear a lot of pundits going, oh, but it'll never pass. It doesn't have to pass. The president of the United States has the power to impose sanctions on any and all governments that are viewed as criminal governments. This is part of the Magnitsky Act, right? That basically gives the president that power. So if Trump wanted to sanction the leaders of the ANC, Trump could do that, right? The only thing Congress does is make it official. This is Congress basically then telling the president, we want you to do this. So the president has a lot more control. The fact that both Democrats and Republicans are in on this and they both want this tells you that even if Trump loses the next election, the Democrats will not stop this. It's sort of the same thing that happened during the first term. Remember, Trump was the first one to bring tariffs against China. At the time, the Democrats heavily criticized Trump. How dare you? This is our biggest trading partner. Wada, 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 wada. Then Joe Biden gets into office and he just continues the tariffs. Like Joe Biden, in many ways, were harsher on China than Trump was in his first term, right? Because the Democrats want the same stuff. They just don't want to. They don't want to admit that the Republicans have a good idea, and so they'll wait until they're in office, and then they'll just continue the idea and make it seem like they're the ones actually doing all of this. Fundamentally, what comes out of these meetings, and Hattingh actually shares this, is the American government are sick and tired of South Africa. They're sick and tired of what South Africa has become. They're sick and tired of how South Africa is acting. There's a current bill addressing hostile and anti-Semitic conduct by the Republic of South Africa, Act of 2025, which is another act that could bring with it insane sanctions. We already have another 10% tariff that may actually be charged. Trump may slap us with even more tariffs as a result of all of this. There's so much that America could do to basically destroy South Africa. And to anyone that's going, well, we'll just trade with anyone else, I just want to ask, why would you want to exclude anyone? South Africa isn't a country in a position where we can just throw our weight around. We need trade. We need money. We need people to want to buy our stuff. Why do we want to piss off the largest consumer market in the world? Why not trade with Russia and China and India and America? Why must it be an either or? The Americans have asked for very specific things. The Americans have not said that South Africa cannot have BEE. They simply said that their companies should be exempt of BEE. Surely we can do that. All other companies from all over the world will still have to be subject to BEE. It's just Americans that don't want that, and they're fully within their rights to ask that. It's their companies. Their companies shouldn't be forced to sell 30% of everything. The Americans have asked that the ANC disavow the singing of Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer. Again, they're not saying the song should be illegal. They're just saying that the ANC should say, we disavow it, right? We don't want you to sing that song. This is an ugly song. How dare you? But the ANC can't even manage that. It would literally just be them saying it. They don't even have to believe it. They just need to say it, but they won't, right? This is a problem. They want farm murders and farm attacks to be classified and prioritized as a priority crime, as it should be. I've shown you in the past how important that kind of crime is and how difficult that kind of crime is and why the police itself isn't capable of fighting that kind of crime. But again, we just don't do anything. In this country, it seems like we're hell-bent on pissing off the Americans at every single turn, and we may end up paying that price dearly in the very near future. The only hope I have is that that price isn't paid by us, the citizens, but instead paid by government, which in South Africa is rarely the case. They make their problems our problems very, very quickly. But okay, that's it for me. Let me know in the comments section down below how you guys feel about all of this. I'd love to read your thoughts. Are you for or against sanctions? Where do you land on it? I'd love to read it. Then, if you like what I do and you want to see more people see what I do and join the channel, please consider hitting the like button, hitting that subscribe button, and leaving a comment. Massive shout out and thank you to all of the patrons and the YouTube channel members for supporting this channel. To become a patron, just hit the link in the description down below or the join button right below this video. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Peace.